O baterista Kenazi, da banda inglesa Happyness, bateu um papo com o Didi F. Ele falou sobre as mudanças internas do grupo, contou também como foi produzir o seu próprio disco, falou da sua relação com as Spice Girls e sobre a sua sexualidade, porque ele passou a performar como drag queen.
Because of quarantine, okay, let's start by saying, how's quarantine doing in UK? I've heard you guys change the rules. Now it's kind of illegal to gather people, like more than 10 people. How's it going out there?
Yeah, there was some over the summer period. There was some hope for everything to kind of sort itself out, but we've got the second wave, which is in history has always been worse than the first wave. So we got rising numbers of cases. So yeah, we're back to 6 people at most. A lot of my shows have been cancelled. I had one on Thursday, but that's unfortunately no longer happening, which is a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you and Happyness had a real plan for 2020. And what has changed? Did you adapt the plans? What did you have planned for 2020?
So our album came out in May, and so we had this, release plan set out all the way from March right through to basically the end of next year, 2021. And kind of coronavirus has scuppered all that plan. It's put it kind of right on the back burner to the point where I've had to start thinking or imagining my life without happiness right now. It's been a really stressful time and something I've really struggled to grapple with. But right now I just have to kind of create my own space and reimagine how, I can still enjoy being creative without being able to perform. So at the start of lockdown, me and Johnny, we went into super hyper creative mode, and we recorded loads of music, and we did a bunch of live streams.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Floater is produced by you and Johnny by yourselves, right? It's
yes.
It's like what musicians are doing now during quarantine. You guys kind of thought before quarantine to do something like that. I mean, it's a way of staying creative, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The experience we had of working with producers, it didn't always, satisfy what we were trying to get creatively. So once you can put yourself in a position where you can put it together yourself, it kind of opens up so many more possibilities. And what's more is anyone can do that now. There's a small price to pay to be able to actually have all the equipment you need and the programs to do it. So yeah, there's a definite change in the way music's being made right now.
And it has a very 90s nostalgic feeling to the album. Were you feeling nostalgic yourself? Were you was the 90s a great decade for you? Growing up in England, the 90s, I can only bet because Spice Girls.
I mean, I was a C-section in 92.
Okay, yeah.
So I have no idea what the 90s was really like. So if anything, that kind of creates this, for me, I imagine the 90s as this great period. It probably wasn't as great as I imagined, but the music that was being made, and Spice Girls, and I had that, their tour video, and that kind of put me in a place where I knew I wanted to perform. And in terms of what the Floater, how that came out, it was, Floater for us was kind of tying up some loose ends that we still had to kind of work out for ourselves. I don't know if we'll make another 90s influenced album like that again. But there was a certain set of circumstances that pushed us into a situation where it was we wanted to get out some emotion, and that was the vehicle that we knew well enough, or the vehicle that we could use to make that happen.
Sorry.
but I think now that that's closed, I'm really excited about what the Happyness will become in the future when things start moving again.
Well, we were talking about the 90s music in England, which was like a great time of period. And but we were talking about the Spice Girls, and I noticed there were like a couple of pictures of you with Mel B. I'm serving a Mel B realness. You're serving like a Jerry Halliwell realness right now.
Yeah, with these boots, honey.
Yeah, I love them. I would like to know, are you like friends with Mel B? Like, what happened? And like, there are pictures of you in like the backstage of the Spice Girls World Tour. How was that?
That was the most amazing experience of my life so far.
Really?
Yeah, being at that show, having been like growing up and not sure like how to deal with my sexuality or how to express it. It was an amazing experience to be there, and with Mel, someone I met at a gig once, and we kind of just got on. I mean, she's the best I know.
Totally is, yeah.
And it was amazing during that period of time to hear about what she had been through and what it meant to her to be back on stage with Spice Girls. And that was a very interesting period. She's back in England now and up in Leeds, so I don't see her as much anymore. But that was an amazing time.
Wow.
I wish I'd gone in drag to the Spice Girls show, but for some reason I was too scared to.
Really? Why?
I don't know. I just felt that maybe I should just tone myself down a little bit, just for someone else's show. I sometimes feel bad turning up like this, and not stealing the limelight, but just the option to steal the limelight, kind of.
Yeah, but do you feel that you have that worry because you yourself is an artist? Like, would you mind if your audience start to come up as drag queens to your show? Like, would you mind them stealing your thunder? No,
absolutely not. That's a good point. And the more people that come in drag, the better I feel about what I'm doing. So yeah, that's a good point. I should have thought differently there. Oh well, because I missed the picture opportunity. That's it. It's gone. It's never going to happen again.
Yeah. Well, it might happen.
Well,
they're talking about like coming back, like for whatever, like to continue the tour or something.
Yeah, I hope so. It was such a great show. I was so amazed by the whole thing.
They're like the Beatles of our childhood, right?
No, absolutely. Like what they did is incredible. It's hard to, imagine, especially being a woman at that time, getting up and being like a bad bitch, like serving it and being real and showing, men how to do it. It's important.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Happyness. You guys started as a trio, and then you became two, now one, like the Spice Girls would play. But you became two, like Benji was out.
Yes.
Was that an important trigger for like how you guys decided like to float into the new music of what you're playing?
Yeah, it was. Bands are strange dynamics. They're strange relationships. They're almost almost, spending more time with the same people than marriages. So there's all sorts of relationship dynamics and cracks appear, and it's up to individual people to notice those cracks and make an effort to, with any relationship, change. Nothing is constant, so there's always going to be a change in dynamic. And I think one of those changes was me coming out and becoming a drag queen, which definitely changed the dynamic that had existed in Happyness for a while with three of us.
Yeah.
And I think that wasn't the only issue, but one of the issues that arose and consequently led to one member leaving.
Oh, so I know that might be like a super personal question, but so do you think Benji wasn't that open about you coming out as a drag queen?
It wasn't that he wasn't open to it. I don't think he was happy to have a change in the dynamic of power.
Yeah.
And that was, something that was difficult for me to work through. And there was all sorts of other issues going on, but, in relation to, drag and coming out, there was definitely that played a part. And so, yeah, I think that each album campaign in itself is kind of its own dynamic and its own story. The person who best represents that is Lady Gaga, who shifts with every release. And there's a reason why or Madonna, there's a reason why they live on, is because they change that dynamic and run with it. So, as I said before, Floater was about tying up some loose ends so that we could get to a point where now I feel like I can run.
Yeah, great. You know what? Like me and the guys from Balaclava, we do think Floater is like your best record to date. And they're like obsessed with Happyness. They've been like following you guys since We're Little Birthday.
Yeah.
And do you feel Floater is your best record to date too?
It's the one I enjoy listening to the most, I'd say.
Yes.
And it's the one that it shows development for sure. But I have a very personal relationship with it. So my opinion of it just doesn't matter anymore.
It's like your coming out album, sort of speak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of the lyrics, intentionally or not, feel like there's kind of opening up. If you can, there's some allegories in there and whatnot, and a few subtle hints. But yeah, it was amazing to write an album being gay. That was something that I hadn't done before. And it definitely changed my approach to songwriting and changed my approach to drumming as well.
Do you think that like this lacquer indie scene is sort of like a boys club? Do you think they were like positive to your change? And how did you think that they're like responding to you as a queer person?
I've found 99% of people are so responsive and positive to the change, and it's something that's it's not just unique to my area of the industry. It's going on everywhere. Whether that be business or corporate stuff or politics, there has been a general recognition that we can't have a boys' club anymore. The boys the boys club version, it doesn't provide the necessary representation for everyone, and it becomes problematic in that way. So in terms of where I'm at, I have only ever received, uplifting conversations with people in the scene. And for those who aren't interested or don't care, they turn a blind eye. And really, that's a reflection on them rather than me. That's how I explain it to myself.
You know what? I do feel that the mainstream is like more and more open to, to gay people, to drag people. And here in Brazil, we have two drag queens there that they totally crossed into the mainstream culture. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're called Gloria Groove and Pablo Vittar. They're like on the cover of Vogue this month. Vogue Brazil. Yeah. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, absolutely. What is Gloria's like? What does she say at the beginning of every song? I can't remember now.
She says something like Gloria Groove. And Pablo Vittar says something like I forgot. No, but she says something like very iconic. It's well, I forgot right now, and like I might lose my gay card right now, like my membership.
Yeah, honey, you're running out of chances as well. I mean, they're going to start banning you from the clubs. How is Brazil changing at the moment with coronavirus and with the current president? And
I do believe that when you have someone as conservative on government, the young culture, like everyone just fights back. It's important for you to not be very passive into that situation. Like usually because we're comfort on a situation, like when the president is not a fucking conservative, dick, you're like, okay, like I can just float around and be all right with my life. But like when you're pushed to fight, it creates a movement, and I believe that's what's happening in Brazil right now. Yeah, people are pushed to fight.
Yeah,
like when you come here, I want to introduce you to drag queens, like to the club scene, because I know you have a nightclub party, right?
Yeah, I've
London.
I've got two. One which is currently not going anywhere more, but here's the trophy for it. It's called Big Dick Energy.
Oh, that's what BDE stands for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Love that name. And I love the energy too.
And the other one is rightly called Poppers. We get bands from the scene who may have queer members, may not, but who will present well or present in a drag kind of way. Like everyone is doing drag all the time. I'm like this, but your daily life is drag. When you go into the shop, you're a different person to when you make a cup of tea or whatever. Yeah. So it was just introducing bands from my scene to a more queer audience, and also changing the format of the gig, which to an extent I feel has become a very standard set of rules.
Exactly.
Which is, you enter, you get your drink, you stand there silently, you stroke your chin a little bit, and then you're out at 11 p.m. When we were going full force before coronavirus, there was lip syncs and poppers everywhere and light shows and fireworks and bands, and we went till 2, and it was just a mess, but it was great.
Fuck, that sounds like my kind of party though.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's everyone's kind of party. and people get into it. So yeah.
Well, your band played on DragCon, and you wrote an article saying that RuPaul's Drag Race was like super responsible for your coming out. Like you're like really get in touch with the gay culture.
Yes.
Did you feel like full circle when you played at DragCon? How was it?
Yeah, no, it was such an amazing thing to do, and it was amazing to see those queens that you see on TV in real life, up close and personal. It was really scary. I was meeting like Bob the drag queen and Monet Exchange, and DragCon is. I don't know if you guys have like a version in Brazil, but it's very commercial. It's all about the merch sales, and RuPaul's kind of untouchable, and he's nowhere to be seen really. So it's and it's a lot of people who you know are kind of maybe don't fully understand what the meaning of drag is. As things become so commercial, they change in meaning. But where DragCon really showed its worth to me was actually in the conference side of it. The space it gave to disabled people or autistic people. There was a Down syndrome drag group called Drag Syndrome. That's where it's most important, because it's those queens from RuPaul's Drag Race represent for people who feel left out or marginalized, whether they're gay or not. They are a figurehead for those people, and it's amazing to see what that means to people.
Do you feel like some Happyness fans might think feeling with you, like that you represent something for them and you give them courage to embrace their own skin?
One of the things that's been most exciting about bringing the drag to Happyness was seeing individuals at gigs when they happened come up to me after the show and say, you've really helped me through this period. It's amazing. Or it's amazing. I didn't know that there were queer people in this scene. It's all about representation. If people feel represented, they come out and they are able to celebrate and they're able to express themselves. So yeah, it's been a very humbling kind of period or journey.
Well, that journey started at end of the road 2017, right? Was that the first time you properly did drag?
Yeah, it was the first time that put on the eyelashes, and I don't think I had a wig, and I think I was wearing my mum's leopard skin kind of Mel B outfit, and but it was completely eye-opening to feel the world in that way. It's just something that I can't put my finger on what it is, but I feel like this movement means so much more in drag than it does just as a normal human being. Like, everything is more deliberate, including this.
Yeah, totally.
Or, I can pick up a phone and it's something, I can't do that in normal life. It wouldn't make sense. But it makes sense right now. Or, and then I can shout at it, but it's just, it's a different, way of feeling the world, and I get so much joy out of it, that I really advise anyone who's willing to try to kind of find a pair of boots like these, maybe a wig or two, something like this. Whack it on, see how you go.
And what have you learned as a drag queen so far since like 2017? Probably learned how to like use a lace wig. I don't know, like contour. What have you learned?
I've learned the power of makeup, the transformative ability of it, how to walk in heels, how to like keep a room like totally transfixed on one thing, how to death drop, how to...
Oh, what? You know how to? I'm not going to ask you to do it right now because we cannot have like the frame to do it, but like I would love to see that.
Oh, you have to get me to Brazil. We'll make it happen. I could do like the cheap version.
How's that cheap version of it?
Yeah, or well, I shouldn't even call it a death drop. It's a dip technically, but yeah. So makeup abilities. That's the lesson I've learned the most. And every time I paint, it improves. Just gets that little bit better, and you fix that little line there, or you know.
And you look sickening.
Thank you, honey.
Sickening. Seriously. Oh my God. Have you seen that app Masterclass, and they have like a pose Masterclass on it?
Yes.
Have you seen that?
I didn't get to see it. It was really expensive.
Oh my God. It's amazing. They do a whole segment on like RuPaul's clothes and then how to drag yourself up. Well, it is amazing. But speaking of RuPaul and like the RuPaul's kind of drag, like Michelle Visage has a lot of norms on how to be a drag, and sometimes I kind of feel like they all end up looking sort of like the same because a lot of all the norms that RuPaul throw on them, like Michelle Visage throws on them. And what I love about your drag is it seems to me very disruptive. It's very like it's like a punk drag. I don't know, like. How would you describe your drag?
My drag is, it's for me to be able to do the things that I want to do in the world with the added bonus of people enjoying that experience.
Yeah.
People might say that's selfish, but it comes back to it. Does RuPaul's right when he says, you know, if you can't love yourself, how can you love anyone else?
Can I get an amen up in here?
Yeah, amen. It for me, it gives me the space and the time to, you know, be a bad bitch and disrupt rooms and, you know, kick over a plant or something. I don't know. No, I would never kick over you. Or I don't. To just feel beautiful in myself. I think I get very bored of the normality of every day. And drag gives me a place to be a bit weird or just be a bit disruptive. And, you know, people will say, well, how can you just be a disruptive element? Isn't that being but for me, disruption is the key to making progress. When
totally.
You know, in Brazil right now, the progress, you know, progress is not a straight line. It goes back and forwards, but it's
you can have a progress as a society.
Let's take the protests going on in Brazil right now. They are disruptive. They're not conducive to everyday normality, but if people were to just, take and kind of shrug their shoulders and move on and do the same thing every day, we wouldn't really be getting anywhere. And especially as a queer person, or as queer people, queer people have always been and will always be disruptive.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite queer people, or my queer icons, are those that were the most disruptive, be that John Waters or Divine, or...
Oh my God, they're my favorite too. Seriously.
Yeah.
Fucking love John Waters and Divine.
Or
Klaus Nomi.
Yeah, Klaus Nomi is amazing.
Yeah.
Watching her has really, really persuaded me to get into opera singing as well. So I do this whole act where I perform, that scene in The Fifth Element?
Oh, yeah. Well, with the huge dreads.
Yeah, with the blue opera singer.
Yeah. Well, Ash, we have to finish now, but what I wanted to say to you is it's so beautiful and so inspiring to see someone that is so into you're so comfortable on your own skin, and that is a huge inspiration to a lot of people, I'm sure that. So thank you, and thank you for being yourself. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you. No, it means so much to be able to speak to you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, babe. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.